All right, Notre Dame. How'd you become a Notre Dame fan, by the way, growing up in D.C. specifically? But to this season, obviously now we have Sam Hartman in as the Notre Dame starting quarterback, who seemingly has played 7 years, but it's really been 5 years as quarterback, who has put up 13,000 career passing yards, 110 touchdown passes, 5 seasons specifically of experience. Tyler Buchner and Tommy Rees OCing now at Alabama. But a tough schedule, Tim. What do you feel about your boys here?
My dad went to Notre Dame, so that was how it all started. I was born into Notre Dame fandom, and I know you can't see it over the shoulder, but that is a panoramic picture from the 1998 Notre Dame-Michigan game. Notre Dame won 36-20, beating the defending champs. Young Timmy Murray is in attendance somewhere in that stadium. I will be at the Ohio State game when they're wearing those I don't know, green uniforms. But, yeah, Notre Dame this year, Gill, I don't have a bet on them. I'll just flat out say that. And if I saw an edge one way or the other, I would bet Notre Dame. I'm not terrified of betting, a team that I cheer for. The reason I don't have an over bet is, as you mentioned, you have Ohio State at home, you're an underdog. You have Clemson on the road, you're an underdog, and you have USC, which is a pick-em right now and probably ultimately will be an underdog slightly at home. Sam Hartman, as you alluded to, I think can mask a lot of issues. Last year's team with Drew Pine, yikes. I mean, Drew Pine, bless his heart, he'll be down at Arizona State and, fighting for the starting job there, but he's not a Power 5 starting quarterback. And Tommy Rees, former offensive coordinator, I thought did a really good job of figuring out ways to get the best out of him. Now you bring in Sam Hartman, an adult, as you had mentioned, the accolades that he accrued at Wake Forest, an up-and-coming wide receiver crew. Need to see a lot out of that. I think a couple things that if you're looking to bet on Notre Dame, elite offensive tackles. You look on the left side, Joe Alt, right side, Blake Fisher, two guys, Gill, that'll probably hear their name called on a Thursday night or at very least a Friday night in the spring. Two big boys there. And Sam Hartman's never had a big-time, offensive line like that. He had that slow mesh offense down at Wake Forest. The worries I have for the Irish, defensive line really worries me. Not a lot of girth up front. And then the secondary. I love the corners. Benjamin Morrison's a freshman All-American coming back after 6 interceptions. Cam Hart, DC guy, shout out Good Counsel High School. They're really good, but secondary, the safety position does worry me. I think this is a 9-3 football team. I've said in my write-up, Gill, I do think they beat one of the big boys, whether it be Ohio State with a charged atmosphere or USC. But what Brian Kelley did so well, Gill, over his last 5 years in South Bend, won every game as a favorite. Marcus Freeman lost to Stanford last year. They lost to Marshall last year. Tricky spots, right? They go to Louisville. They go to Duke. They go to NC State. They play Pitt, who's always a pain in the butt. I do think they drop one of those games. I think they're a 9-win football team. And lastly on this, if you were to bet it, Gill, and ask me, okay, you have to bet it, I would say this team is more likely 8 wins than 10 wins, so that's why I would lean under for the Irish.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought up that NC State game specifically scares me. I don't know why, that one, on September 9th. Okay, and by the way, yes, losing to Marshall, losing to Stanford, they did obviously win 7 of the last 8 last year, only losing to Caleb Williams and USC. So hopefully, for those like yourself who are big fans, it goes well this year. But good, cautious betting analysis there. What about the Mountain West? We haven't talked about it on this show this week as our college betting guide comes out today. Air Force losing a couple big players, obviously in offense, Zeke Daniels and Brad Roberts. Fresno State's in the mix. But when we look at the grid in our betting guide, Tim, the conference that had the most consensus in terms of a champion picked is in this conference, and it was Boise State. 16 out of 18 of us picked them. How do you see this?
I'm with Boise State. Now, I haven't bet it because I don't love the value. It's around, plus 180, 2-1. And that doesn't really fire me up, here in August. I do think they're the best team. When you mentioned Air Force, you lose arguably the greatest running back in school history in Roberts. You lose a starting quarterback that started 31 games, went 22-9 at a school that can't go to the portal. That makes me nervous to back Air Force to win this conference. And let's remember, they had some, disappointment last year. Fresno State, they lose my guy, our guy, Jake Haener.
Yeah.
Man won everything for us. We won a lot of money on Jake Haener last year. He's gone. Mikey Keene comes in. That's we'll see. So we'll see what Tedford can do there. San Diego State, Taylon Green, or excuse me. I'm intrigued by San Diego State, but they've, they're missing some pieces there. So, for me, it's Boise State, elite backfield, probably the best running back duo in the group of five. They have Taylon Green. This is a team that really doesn't get crushed in the portal, which is unique there for this conference. So I do think Boise State wins this conference. But if you mention that grid, where I went a little off the script was I have Colorado State making the Mountain West championship game. I think this team has rebuilt incredibly well. Gill, they allowed 59 sacks last year, 4.92 sacks per game. Poor Clay Millen. That guy was just getting crushed. They went out and they got 4 transfers to go on that offensive line. And Torrey Horton, this is a name to know. He will be playing on Sundays. The dude is a stud, over 1,100 receiving yards, elite athlete. He's going to make some big-time plays. Colorado State over 4.5 wins is one of my favorite plays of the season, and I think they're going to go to a bowl game this year. And I wouldn't be stunned if Colorado State makes it to the Mountain West Championship game.
Tim Murray calling his shot on Colorado State. And Boise State, let's get you to a massive power conference. Let's make this happen eventually. I think it's coming.
Go to VSiN.com/subscribe to become a VSiN Pro subscriber today.